Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Kent Bass, Vice Commander of the Lincoln Cushing Camp No. 2 Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War. Welcome to the 153rd Annual Decoration Day ceremony to be held here on this hallowed ground. Today, the 30th of May, is the date that General John A. Logan, Commander-in-Chief of the Grand Army of the Republic, set aside in 1868 to honor the Union war dead. And today is the true day to memorialize and honor our war dead. We honor not just those who perished in the service of the Union during the Civil War, but also all those who have fallen in defense of the United States throughout history. We are thus privileged to solemnly mark this occasion and honor all soldiers, sailors, and Marines who died to preserve a nation united and to ensure, in President Lincoln's words, a new birth of freedom for all. I want to thank the brass quintet from the President's own United States Marine Band under the direction of Gunnery Sergeant Stephen Williams and Master Gunnery Sergeant Christian Ferrari for providing musical support for today's ceremony, and Brother Carl Garman, Lincoln Cushing Camp Secretary-Treasurer, for serving as the color guard for today's ceremony. Would the honored guests please rise when I call your name, and would all participants please hold your applause until I have finished introductions. Representing the Allied Orders of the GAR are Mr. Michael Piquet, Commander-in-Chief of the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War, founded in 1881. Ms. Allison Pollitt, National President of the Auxiliary to the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War, founded in 1883. Ms. Jessica Booth, National President of the Women's Relief Corps, founded in 1883. Ms. Norma Fiedler, National President of the Daughters of Union Veterans of the Civil War, 1861 to 1865, founded in 1885. Ms. Elizabeth Rock, National President of the Ladies of the Grand Army of the Republic, founded in 1886, sends her regrets that she could not be with us here today. Representing the Sons of Veterans Reserve, the ceremonial uniformed component of the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War, is Brother Lee Stone of the Lincoln Cushing Camp. Representing other Civil War patriotic orders and organizations are Mr. Robert Pollock, Commander-in-Chief of the Military Order of the Loyal Legion of the United States, Ms. Ann Taylor Schaefer, National President of the Dames of the Loyal Legion of the United States, and Mr. Edward Gant, President of the 23rd United States Colored Troops Regiment of Spotsylvania, Virginia. Honored ladies and gentlemen, let us begin the ceremonies. Please stand for the presentation of our national colors and the playing of the national anthem. A gentle reminder, since 2008, all service members not in uniform and all veterans are authorized to render the military salute when the national anthem is played. Color guard, post the colors. Please be seated. It is now my pleasure to introduce the 44th Commander of Lincoln Cushing Camp Number 2, Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War, Brother Eric Atkinson. Born in Texas and raised in Wisconsin, Brother Atkinson is the great-great-grandson of two Union Army veterans, Private James Atkinson of the 15th West Virginia Infantry and Lieutenant Newton Wims of the same 23rd U.S. Colored Troops Regiment represented here today by Captain Gant. A veteran himself, Brother Atkinson served in the Persian Gulf War and twice in the Iraq War. He retired from the Army National Guard in 2014 at the rank of Lieutenant Colonel and now works as a communications manager at the Patent and Trademark Office. In addition to his leadership of Lincoln Cushing Camp, Brother Atkinson is aide-de-camp to the Department of the Chesapeake Commander, Brother Brian Horgan, and is a member of the D.C. Commandery of Mollis. Brother Atkinson.
Brothers of the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War and friends, we assemble once more to pay to our forefathers our tribute of love and respect, and within these sacred bounds, to pledge anew our fealty to their memory and the principles for which they fought. With heads bowed, solemn tread, and voices hushed, we meet to remind people of their duty to the soldiers and sailors who wore the blue, who fought for this flag, who died for this country, and that it is for us to keep green the memories of their heroic service and unselfish sacrifice. May we fully realize the sanctity of this place and hour. May our conduct give assurance of the sincerity of our purpose and our earnest appreciation of the duties and responsibilities devolved upon us as sons of Union veterans of the Civil War. Thank you.
Our Lincoln Cushing Camp chaplain, Brother John Higgins, will invoke the divine blessing. Please rise.
Supreme ruler of the universe, God of battles and of peace, thank thee for this day, this hour, for this blessed privilege of meeting here as sons of the soldiers and sailors who do homage to our nation's dead. We thank thee that in the day of trouble and in the hour of danger, you in your infinite wisdom raised up men who are ready to do battle, and if need be to die, that this country might be preserved. Grant us, we beseech thee, a continuance of thy watchful care. Grant thy blessing upon these sacred ceremonies, consecrated as they are to the memory of the brave and loyal hearts who dared stand for the right and did not fear to have their breasts bared to a storm of steel in defense of human liberty, a united country, and a brotherhood of man. May we fully realize the sanctity of the place and the hour. May our conduct give assurance of the sincerity of our purpose and our earnest appreciation of the duties and responsibilities devolved upon us as sons of the Union veterans of the Civil War, sisters of the Allied Orders, and members of patriotic organizations. Bless our country. Preserve its integrity. Prosper our order. Make it, we pray thee, an instrument in thy hands of great good to our country and to thee. And at last, gather us with thee in the great camp of eternity. Hear and answer, we beseech thee. Amen. Please remain standing for Hail Columbia. This was our national air until 1931, when the Star-Spangled Banner was so designated. Hail Columbia served as the national anthem during the days of the GAR.
The Grand Army of the Republic established Decoration Day in 1868. Here to officially post the GAR's order is Brother Brian Horgan, Commander of the Department of the Chesapeake, Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War. Brother Horgan has been a member of the Order for over 25 years. He previously served as commander of the James A. Garfield Camp and has held various other offices during his tenure in the organization. He descends from several Union ancestors, including Henry Merritt of the 1st Ohio Light Artillery and Darius Barr of the 2nd Ohio Heavy Artillery. Brother Horgan is a graduate of Youngstown State University, received his graduate degree from the University of Nebraska, and received a graduate certificate in executive leadership from Cornell University. He is a member of the American Battlefield Trust and serves as a board member of several historic preservation organizations. Brother Horgan.
Thank you, Senior Vice Commander. While today we remember and honor those who paid the ultimate sacrifice in service to our nation, I would like to pause for a moment to remember our very recently departed past Commander-in-Chief, Andrew M. Johnson. Brother Andy was a long-standing servant. He served his Creator, he served his country, and he served our order. He was a career Army officer, achieving the rank of colonel. He was a long-standing member of the Lincoln Christian Camp. He served in different capacities, including Camp Commander, then Commander of the Department of Maryland, and eventually as our National Commander-in-Chief. He was revered as a leader and finally valued as a brother. Brother Andy continued his dedication to our mission by serving at this very program year after year by reciting General Logan's Order Number 11, which established Decoration Day, the basis for Memorial Day. While I will not be able to deliver General Logan's order with Andy's timbre or style, it is my privilege today to serve in his stead. Headquarters, Grand Army of the Republic, Washington, D.C., May 5th, 1868. The 30th day of May, 1868 is designated for the purpose of strewing with flowers or otherwise decorating the graves of comrades who died in defense of their country during the late rebellion, and whose bodies now lie in almost every city, village, and hamlet churchyard throughout the land. In this observance, no form or ceremony is prescribed, but hosts and comrades will in their own way arrange such fitting services and testimonials of respect as circumstances may permit. We are organized, comrades, as our regulations tell us, for the purpose, among other things, of preserving and strengthening those kind and fraternal feelings which have bound together the soldiers, sailors, and Marines who united to suppress the late rebellion. What can aid more to assure this result than by cherishing tenderly the memory of our heroic dead who made their breasts a barricade between our country and its foe. Their soldier lives were the reveille of freedom to a race in chains, and their death a tattoo of rebellious tyranny in arms. We should guard their graves with sacred vigilance. All that the consecrated wealth and taste of the nation can add to their adornment and security is but a fitting tribute to the memory of her slain defenders. Let no wanton foot tread rudely on such hallowed grounds. Let pleasant paths invite the coming and going of reverent visitors and fond mourners. Let no vandalism of avarice or neglect, no ravages of time, testify to the present or to the coming generations that we have forgotten, as a people, the cost of free and undivided republic. If other eyes grow dull, and other hands slack, and other hearts cold in solemn trust, ours shall keep it well as long as the light and warmth of life remains in us. Let us then, at the appointed time, gather around the sacred remains and garland the passionless mounds, above with them the choicest flowers of springtime. Let us raise above them the dear old flag they saved from dishonor. Let us, in this solemn presence, renew our pledges to aid and assist those whom they have left among us, sacred charges upon the nation's gratitude, the soldiers and sailors, widow and orphan. It is the purpose of the Commander-in-Chief to inaugurate this observance with the hope that it will be kept up from year to year, while a survivor of the war remains to honor the memory of his departed comrades. He earnestly desires the public press to call attention to this order and to lend its friendly aid in bringing it to the notice of comrades in all parts of the country in time for simultaneous compliance therewith. Department commanders will use every effort to make this order effective by command of John A. Logan, Commander-in-Chief.
Our first guest speaker today is U.S. Navy Captain Retired Edward Gant. Captain Gant enlisted in the U.S. Army in 1969 and spent most of the next 3 years as a helicopter crew member, including a 12-month tour in South Vietnam as a helicopter door gunner and crew chief. A graduate of Howard University and the Naval Aviation Officer Candidate School in Pensacola, Florida, Captain Gant was awarded his Naval Flight Officer Wings of Gold and accumulated over 2,000 hours in the F-14 Tomcat with operational fighter squadrons in the Mediterranean Sea, the Indian Ocean, the Persian Gulf, and the Pacific Ocean. His command tours include Fighter Squadron 31 at Naval Air Station Miramar and the Navy Recruit Training Command, Great Lakes, the Navy's only boot camp. Since 2014, Captain Gant has been a member of the 23rd Regiment, United States Colored Troops, representing one of the nearly 200,000 African Americans who served in uniform during the Civil War. He currently serves as President of the 23rd Regiment, headquartered in Spotsylvania. Captain Gant.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Just about 240 years ago, some very wise gentlemen got together in Philadelphia and they wrote something down on paper that said, "We hope to form a more perfect union." As you know, growing up in America, there were times when that union wasn't very perfect. But those gentlemen were so wise that they made provisions that as long as good people could get together with honest intent, we could correct the deficiencies, we could remove the flaws, we could make that union more perfect. So now let's move the clock forward to 80 years beyond the creation of this new nation, where President Abraham Lincoln on the 1st of January in 1863 set about to do something to move us in the direction of a more perfect union by issuing the Emancipation Proclamation. Although it didn't free any of the 4.5 million enslaved people of African descent, it did set in motion the opportunity for African Americans to enlist in the United States Army. And we did. As you heard, by 1865, there were 200,000 black men wearing the Union Army uniform, fighting in places in Virginia, in Mississippi, in Alabama, and even in Texas. That more perfect union was the objective. and those gentlemen were willing to make the ultimate sacrifice, and many of them did. My unit was formed right here in Northern Virginia, right down the hill where the Pentagon is located today, formed as a result of what Abraham Lincoln put in the Emancipation Proclamation. By the spring of 1864, we were down in Central Virginia as part of General Meade's army with General Grant in pursuit of General Robert E. Lee and engaged in places like the Wilderness and Spotsylvania Courthouse, Cold Harbor, the siege at Petersburg, and in early 1865, we marched into Richmond. Shortly after the war ended, as most of the Union Army, the Army of the Potomac, the Army of Tennessee, were gathered here in Washington, D.C. for a huge victory parade that lasted 2 days, my unit was combined with the all-black 25th Army Corps, a group of about 20,000 black soldiers, and we were on ships headed to Texas. The holiday you now know as Juneteenth came as a result of when that 25th Army Corps arrived in Galveston, and we, along with General Order 3 issued by General Granger, were there to make this Union more perfect and to enforce the tenets of the Emancipation Proclamation. Today we are here gathered to pay tribute to those who gave and who sacrificed so that this Union could be more perfect. And I would join you and request that you join me in saluting the sacrifice of those 200,000 African American soldiers, 40% of whom did not survive to the end of the war. Some are buried here. We salute them for their efforts to make this Union more perfect. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Brother Rob Pollock, a past commander of the Lincoln Cushing Camp and now Commander-in-Chief of the Military Order of the Loyal Legion of the United States, the first of the hereditary and patriotic societies founded after the Civil War. A retired Air Force colonel with 36 years of service, Brother Pollock's final government assignment was Acquisitions Chief Process Officer, reporting to and advising the Assistant of the Secretary of the Air Force for Acquisition, and serving as confidential advisor to the United States Undersecretary of Defense for Acquisition, Technology, and Logistics. Upon retirement, Brother Pollock and his wife Kathy Harris returned to their home state of Ohio. Brother Pollock is a member of 26 hereditary societies and has served as head of the D.C. Sons of the American Revolution, the D.C. Society of the War of 1812, and D.C. Sons and Daughters of the Pilgrims. He is also a past commander of the Department of the Chesapeake, Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War, the D.C. Commandery of Mollis, and the Ohio Commandery of Mollis. Brother Pollock.
Thank you, Senior Vice Commander. Greetings from the small town of Urbana, Ohio. From the American Revolution to the global war on terrorism, more than 1 million American veterans have made the supreme sacrifice. They died so that we could continue to cherish the things they loved: God, country, and family. That is why we're gathered here on Memorial Day, to honor the memory of our fallen warriors who have given everything for their country. We are also reminded on this day that brave men and women have always stepped forward to take the oath of allegiance as members of America's armed forces, willing to fight and, if necessary, die for the sake of freedom. In reflecting on the sacrifices of their companions during the War of the Rebellion, the founders of the Loyal Legion saw 4 common pillars as to why Americans so often answer their nation's call, even to the point of sacrificing their lives. They do it to provide a strong national defense, to keep America whole and united, safe, and secure against those enemies who would destroy our way of life. They do it for their fellow companions, for those who fought by their side against all odds, and for those who proudly claim their status as veterans. They do it for American core values of God and country, family and patriotism, and our freedom to worship as we please. They do it for their children, so that they can grow up in an America that is strong and free. It is through this last pillar, children, that we must continue to honor the spirit of these heroes. We must share the legacies and tell the stories of those who are no longer here. Memorial Day is not about picnics and parades, though there's nothing wrong with enjoying and celebrating our American way of life. Memorial Day is about gratitude and remembrance. It's about honoring the men and women who made it possible for us to gather here today in peace. But the reason that there is a Memorial Day, the reason we are gathered here, is to remember those who made our way of life possible. They are truly the guardians of our freedom, resting in peace. Thank you.
The 5 Allied Orders of the Grand Army of the Republic include 4 women's groups: the Ladies of the Grand Army of the Republic, the National Women's Relief Corps, the Auxiliary to the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War, and the Daughters of Union Veterans of the Civil War, 1861 to 1865. Each year, one of the women's groups presents a tribute to the nation's war dead at this ceremony. The original tribute was a poem by Dr. E.A. Duncan, presented by Dr. Duncan at this very ceremony on May 30th, 1873, with President and Mrs. Grant in attendance. This year, the honor goes to the Women's Relief Corps. It is my pleasure to introduce Sister Jessica Booth, National President of the Women's Relief Corps, who will present an excerpt from Dr. Duncan's poem on behalf of the 4 ladies groups of the Allied Orders. President Booth.
Thank you for having me. I'm here from Murfreesboro, Illinois, which is the home of General John A. Logan, who issued General Orders number 11 that began Memorial Day. Here's the excerpt. Another fleeting year on the way of time's tide, as on it goes rushing, so resistlessly fast, has far away drifted as the other years drift, and many dear comrades, far on its broad billow, have passed out from our view as we watched on the shore. Many who met with us on the same sacred spot just 12 months ago, but who'll meet us no more. Some have died in their homes, some have sunk in the sea, and some have met death on the battlefield sands, like heroes for whom our flag is now draped, who fell in full harness. In the field, in the camp, on the ocean they die, and we mournfully mark, as we reckon each year, how the arrows of death have been thinning our ranks, and how lessened our number each time we meet here. But most happy are they who, after life's fever, can lay down their burden as if taking their rest, well knowing that they leave a proud record behind them, and a name that will ever be cherished as blessed, like those who have gathered from fields of their glory, and have tenderly laid precious treasures to keep, where we may come yearly with offerings memorial, and piously lay them where they peacefully sleep. Long centuries after our bones have moldered and mixed with the dust of our own and far lands, there still will be those who come, yearly pilgrims, to deck these mounds sacred with spring's richest garlands, thus showing to all ages those who have died in defense of their country on war's gory plain, filled a proud mission, meet a fate that was noble, a death that was glorious, and lived not in vain.
The brass quintet of the President's Own United States Marine Band will now play Jeannie with the Light Brown Hair by Stephen Foster. is now my pleasure to introduce the Commander-in-Chief of the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War, Brother Michael Paquette. The 135th brother to hold the office of Commander-in-Chief, Brother Paquette entered the order as a charter member of the Irish Brigade, Camp No. 4, Department of the Chesapeake in 2000. Within the Department of the Chesapeake, Brother Paquette has held the position of Commander, Senior Vice Commander, Junior Vice Commander, Secretary Treasurer, and Patriotic Instructor, and he served as Commander of the Irish Brigade, Camp No. 4. He is also a dual charter member of the Colonel Crowther Camp No. 89 in the Pennsylvania Department, and a dual member with the General Zenas Bliss Camp No. 12 in the Department of Rhode Island. A native of Rhode Island, Brother Paquette is the third great-grandson of William G. Stratton, a wagoneer in the 19th Maine Volunteer Infantry. He is also a veteran himself, having served 20 years in the Marine Corps at various posts in Quantico Camp, Pendleton, and Okinawa. He served overseas with the 1st Surveillance, Reconnaissance, and Intelligence Group during the Persian Gulf War, and later during the Somalia peacekeeping mission. He retired as a Master Sergeant at Marine Corps Computer Science School in Quantico, Virginia in 1997. Brother Paquette.
Thank you. It's very good to be here today. I'd like to share a couple thoughts about past Commander-in-Chief Andy Johnson, who I was informed a week ago today had passed from. We had our department encampment last month in April, and I had heard that Andy wasn't doing well. But I today am wearing a medal that past Commander-in-Chief Gene Mortorf had the vision of instituting. It's our department service medal, and it's got the likeness of Andy Johnson on the medal. So Andy knew how much we appreciated him before his passing, and this is something that Gene Mortorf wanted to make sure that we did. And today I'm thankful that we had done so as a department. And there are a number of other brothers in our department that wear this medal, and I will wear it at the National Encampment in Grand Rapids, Michigan this summer in August for a national meeting. The first time I met Brother Andy was when we were forming up our camp, the Irish Brigade Camp in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and now I am aware that he was just coming out of being Commander-in-Chief himself. So there were some words of wisdom there at our first camp meeting. Also, when I was department commander and at the National Order, he's always been one to give kind and very sage advice. He's well represented, well remembered across our organization. Over the past week, I was just amazed at how many past commanders-in-chief had sent in their condolences and their well wishes, and how much they had benefited from Andy being a brother in our organization. One thing I would share is Andy, besides being the epitome of a gentleman, who also has, I admired about him, is his strong convictions. And he truly believed the Civil War was a war of rebellion. And he would leave the room if Dixie were played during any of our encampments. His feelings were that strong. He didn't force those feelings upon anybody, but I know he was a man of strong convictions. So a terrible loss for us a week ago, but more to be said about him at our national encampment in August. On to Memorial Day. Some of my earliest memories of being a son come in this very amphitheater. Very soon after joining, I actually came up and attended some of these ceremonies out there in the audience with no idea that one day I'd be up here addressing a group as Commander-in-Chief. I also had the opportunity to speak some words when I was Department Commander about 8 years ago. We heard General Logan's order, and something that's stuck with me this past week when I put out a general order on Memorial Day. one key line in his general order was, "Let no vandalism of avarice or neglect, nor ravages of time testify to the present or to the coming generations, that we have forgotten as a people the cost of free and undivided republic." We are here today carrying on the tradition that was established here by the Grand Army of the Republic in 1868. We as individuals have not forgotten this charge of General Logan's. But I don't know if the same can be said for the remainder of our country. There is a remnant, there is a core that have not found patriotism to be an outdated principle. So we still have a job ahead of us to maintain what we're doing, but also to tell our story to those fellow citizens that may not be aware of what was started here in 1868, and what we continue here today. So I would ask, why are you here today? Why am I here today? Well, as a son, when I took my oath of obligation as a new member, one thing that I swore to do was to always observe the day set aside by the Grand Army of the Republic as Memorial Day, sacred to the memory of Union soldiers, sailors, and Marines of 1861 to 1865. So yes, I am, and we all are, honoring our oath to do this as sons. And we heard a reference from Commander Pollock that about 1 million Americans made the ultimate sacrifice during time of war to preserve our freedoms. The President spoke this morning that we've had about 42 million men and women that have served the country, so 1 million have made that ultimate call. But we also have other veterans that we honor on this day who may not have made the ultimate sacrifice, but committed a lifetime or an enlistment to serving their country. And as I was preparing for this talk today, it struck me that the very first ceremony that was held here in 1868, those men of GAR that were here remembering those comrades, knew them personally, had served with a number of men that were buried here in the cemetery when it was first founded. So how do we today make a comparison to that? And what I'd like to point out is Andy Johnson, who I spoke about originally. He will be buried here in this cemetery one day. We all know him personally, especially fellow camp members in the Lincoln Cushing camp. Down the hill, we have Colonel William McCarthy, who was Secretary-Treasurer for my home camp in Fredericksburg for over 10 years. That was buried 5 or 6 years ago. And I've got fond memories of him as well. He was a mentor to me personally and as a member of the Sons. Our National Treasurer's father is buried here, who served in the 17th Airborne Division during World War II. So Michael Beard has a connection with someone in recent memory. Chuck Odell, our department Secretary-Treasurer, not Secretary-Treasurer, our long-standing department chaplain is to be interred here at some point in the future. He served our country during World War II. So the reason I bring these men's names up is we all have personal connections to them, and I'm sure when we visit their graves, we're going to recollect a lot of the memories. What I'd like to impress upon you today is every grave in this cemetery has a story. And for those of us that remember the stories, whether they're recently departed or we have some memory that's been passed on in our families about our ancestor, we should also make an attempt to remember those memories. Yes, the sacrifices that they made are extremely important to our freedoms, but I'm sure those men and women would like to also be remembered for the people who they were. So So I would leave you with that thought, just to take the time, make a connection today for anyone that you have buried here in the cemetery or a cemetery elsewhere in the country that served our country, may have made the ultimate sacrifice, or may just have served honorably for a single term or an entire career. But try to take that moment to make a connection with them and keep their memory alive. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to contemplate and honor the nation's war dead. At this sacred place, our forefathers in the Grand Army of the Republic from 1893 to 1923 always included at least one solemn piece of music in their ceremonies in order to fix their minds on the departed and to contemplate their own future. This year, we have chosen the beloved hymn, Eternal Father, Strong to Save. The original poem was written by William Whitting in 1860. John Bacchus Dykes composed the hymn, Melita, which is the familiar music used for Eternal Father. We now ask the U.S. Marine Corps Brass Quintet to perform Eternal Father. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the Battle Hymn of the Republic, a tribute to our nation's heroes. The U.S. Marine Corps Brass Quintet will accompany those who wish to sing along. And please remain standing for the concluding prayer.
God of battles and of peace, ruler of the destinies of countries and of men. In this silent camping ground of the dead, we have come before thee, seeking thy blessings as we honor the memories of the fallen, resting here in their eternal bivouac. Grant that we may ever keep this day and never let this place or their memories be forgotten. May the fallen heroes from all of our nation's wars, from the Revolution to the ongoing war on terror, be always in our prayers and thoughts, and that the tables of love and memory be forever preserved. We hope that it will be thy will that we may meet before thee and before thy throne, and before that throne inscribe our names and praise from now and forever. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending our GAR Decoration Day ceremony. Brother Lee Stone will now lead us in the placing of wreaths and flowers at the tomb of the Civil War unknowns. Please follow Brother.
The monument to which we present these wreaths, as you can see from the inscription on it, is a monument to 2,111 unknown Civil War dead, buried here during and shortly after the Civil War was over. And here we have honored those dead and those who gave their sacrifices for many, many years, much longer than I have been alive. And what we will do is, at my request, the organizations will bring forth their wreath and present them at the tomb of the Civil War unknowns. The first one is presented by the Commander-in-Chief of the Military Order of the Loyal Legion of the United States, Robert Collins. Second one, Commander-in-Chief of the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War, Michael Paquette. Next, the wreath of the auxiliary to the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War, presented by National President Allison Pollock. Next, the wreath of the Women's Relief Corps, presented by National President Jessica Booth. Next, the wreath of the Daughters of Union Veterans of the Civil War, 1861 to 1865, presented by National President Norma Fiedler. Wreath presented by four of the Danes of the Order of the Loyal Legion of the United States by their national president, Ann Taylor Johnson.
Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War, the other organizations that you see represented here, thank you very much for your participation in our ceremony, and we hope that you will take home with you a better appreciation for our Civil War dead, and indeed all the dead who have represented and served this nation. This completes our ceremony. Thank you very much.